How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is a brand new series I'm starting called Listens of the Month. Back in July or August, I realized that I actually listened to a whole lot more music than I thought, be it repeat listens or just shit that I haven't heard yet, stuff that I'm listening to for like the first time, and I decided to keep track of it. So this is more like an intro video of the series. I'm also going to go over my August listens here in a second. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to go over a whole screenshot of each of the albums I listened to for the month and just my thoughts about them, whether or not I've heard it like before, like if I'm listening to it for the first time, or if I listen to it more than once throughout the month, and whether or not I strongly recommend it, or I do not recommend it, or I'm just somewhere in the middle. I'll let you know if I strongly recommend it by saying so, or if I say just I don't recommend it. It's not to say that whatever, say like for instance, if I say I don't recommend an album, it doesn't mean it's bad or like not worth your time. It just really wasn't worth my time, in my personal opinion. Another big reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to be dedicating this channel to reviewing music. It's what I've wanted to do for years. I just haven't really had the time to do so. Right now I'm working two jobs just to get by. Hopefully if this channel grows enough, I can quit that second job, and dedicate more time to this, because this is really my passion. My passion is music. Going over music and what's my favorites, and see what other people think as well. Like, do we share the same tastes? Do we value the same music in the same ways and whatnot? And that sort of subjectivity when it comes to music is, I just cherish that, and so that's kind of why I'm starting this series. So without further ado, let me go ahead and pull it up real quick. Before we continue, if you're not subscribed, please do so. It means a whole lot. Click the bell for notifications so you don't miss a video. I'm going to go ahead and make myself smaller here, and we can go ahead and get this started. So, starting off August, we have Opeth's Watershed. Opeth is one of my favorite bands. Watershed is a fantastic album. It's not my favorite Opeth record for them, but it's easily one of their heaviest, especially when you consider the second track, Heir Apparent. That's probably my favorite Opeth song. It's just a fantastic album. Coil is great. Burden is just a masterpiece. It has other good tracks on here too, such as Porcelain Heart and The Lotus Eater. It's really good. I strongly recommend this one. Next up is UKF Drum and Bass 2013. It's okay. It's just a compilation of drum and bass tracks. I do not recommend this one. It's really a hit and miss. There are a few tracks that end up making my dance playlists, but overall it's really hit and miss. Next up is Garcon's Revelations. This is a very bass-heavy electronic album. I discovered it completely by accident because Spotify had it listed under Crosses, which is Chino Moreno's side project. But this little EP itself is actually pretty interesting. It's got great grooves, pounding bass drums, just really hard hitting beats. And it uses a lot of samples in it as well that I'm rather fond of. It's not bad at all. Next up, an album I'm very, very, very fond of, by a band that I've just completely fallen in love with and been obsessed with. ISON with Andromeda Skyline. Strongly recommend this one. They are a cosmic drone, ambient, black gaze project out of Sweden. Female vocals, and it's just absolutely fucking gorgeous. I can't recommend this album enough. It's probably my favorite from them. Do yourself a favor, check it out. Portals and Nebula are tracks I go to very, very often. After that, Ison's album Inner Space. This is also strongly recommended for me. It's among the same vein as Andromeda Skyline. The production isn't quite as big and spacey. It's a bit more, I guess, the right word would be like enclosed. I don't know if that's a word, but it feels a lot more reflective. It's a lot more of a. I mean, the title itself, Inner Space, kind of says it all. Like, it's great. The title track is fantastic. Equals is another fucking perfect track. Uh, Wonderful album. And then their latest release, until they finally release their newest album. This is their album Aurora. I also strongly recommend this one, obviously. This is the first one without longtime vocalist. Her name escapes me. Every track on here uses a different vocalist, which is really interesting. It really it allows a lot of different people to shine on each track. It does make it for like it does make it more of a disjointed listen. It's a little more. It's kind of like a compilation of sorts. But it's still like the sound is still so signature and just prevalent. It's wonderful. The track Jupiter is probably my favorite off of this one. Up next we have Deftones' Ohms, their newest album, and I still love going back to this album very very much. It's fantastic to me. Strongly recommend it. Obviously, it's fucking Deftones. It's very solid. I'm still very happy with it. The Spell of Mathematics, Ceremony, Error, the title track, obviously, Pompeii. It's just fantastic. Spell of Mathematics is probably my favorite. Then we have Fear Factory's Digimortal. Great album for sure. Hard to say what my favorite track is on here. It was great revisiting it. It still hits hard, even though it's seen as more of a slightly commercial album of theirs, but still not bad regardless. It was great to revisit it. Then we have Lantelos with Neon, a fantastic black metal band. They're also very much post metal and some shoegaze as well. But this is back when they were a lot more black metal oriented. Great album, worth checking out. Then we have Pig Destroyer with Terrifier. My God, what a ferocious fucking grindcore album. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's very extreme. If you're into grindcore, extreme metal in general, this is definitely a must listen. Pig Destroyer in general just absolutely rips. Both this and Lantelos' Neon were first time listens for me. Another first time listen was In Flames' Reroute to Remain. I remember really enjoying this album. I think it was a really soothable evolution after Clayman. Almost on par with Clayman, in my opinion. I think this album actually has a lot going for it. It's definitely not as bad as some people would think. It is like a transitionary album from their melodic death metal roots to their more alt metal-ish era in the 2000s. Good album for sure. Up next, Converge with You Fail Me, The Redux. First time listen for me. Converge absolutely kills it. Like they're really one of a kind. I remember really enjoying it. Excuse me. Like it's Converge. They kick your ass. Next is Gorillaz The Fall. Arguably, probably like definitively their weakest album. It was the follow up to arguably, in my opinion, their best album, Plastic Beach. It's really just a bunch of throwaway-ish, incomplete songs that are fine. Really doesn't have a lot going for it at all. It's still Gorillaz, so it's going to be quality. But it's still their weakest album, in my opinion. Moving on from there, we have Ecstasy with Negative. This, along with each of the ISON albums, I listened to more than once in August. And I was recommended Ecstasy by a good buddy of mine who's shown me all kinds of fucking music. Because apparently this guy opened up for a Purity Ring when him and his girlfriend went to go see them. And they were amazing. And so I checked out this album, Negative. And it's more of like a little EP. And I dig the shit out of it. It's a really neat little cutesy, lo-fi, really depressing project. I'm pretty sure he's singer-songwriter. And it's not for everybody, but I enjoyed it. Up next is Opeth's Heritage. I do not recommend this one. over time, like I do like aspects of it. Like this is widely seen as Opeth's worst album. I mean, by many, not every Opeth fan, but I used to like this one a bit more. But it's definitely fallen to like probably my least favorite Opeth release. It's kind of boring, but I do like tracks like The Devil's Orchard. That's always a great track to go back to. Famine's really good. Folklore, The Lines in My Hands. But other than that, it's not the best. It's not bad, but it's not that good either. After that, we have Pelican, Untitled EP. Fantastic little sludge metal EP. Pulse is a really neat track. Mammoth goes harder than a bag of bricks. Really neat project. Up next is Jesu, self-titled. My first time listening to this all the way through. I discovered this on a forum on ultimateguitar.com because of the song "Friends Are Evil," and I love that song like to death. Like it's a fantastic song, and this is a really neat creative album from the mind of, I think his name is Justin Broderick of Godflesh fame, and it's really interesting. It's droney, it's sludgy, it's really abrasive, but also soothing in a way. Very unique work, like for sure. After that, we got a local artist that it's a hardcore band from where around where I live, and I saw them back in April, and they just fucking destroyed. So I checked out. I've been checking out their music, and this was their album, Doughboy. It might be an EP. I'm not sure. It's rather short, but it's if you like really jumpy, kind of techie, genty, like hardcore, like straight like hardcore punk. This goes hard as balls for sure. Next, we have Carbomb with Centralia. This is their first release, first time listening to it. Really rough around the edges, but when it comes to mathcore, Carbomb just delivers like very few fucking bands do. Fantastic band and a good starting off point. Not their best album by any stretch, but it's great. Carbomb's worth checking out. Up next, some band called Metallica. Their album Kill 'Em All, which I believe is their first album. I don't know. They play this music. They used to play this music called thrash metal, and I don't know. They're okay. Re-listen to this because I intend to review it, obviously, along with the rest of Metallica catalog. It still holds up as an early thrash gem, but like it is very rough around the edges. The production is not that good. Drumming's not that good either. But there are obviously great standout tracks. This album obviously stands the test of time in many aspects. Obviously, love fucking Whiplash, Four Horsemen. Even Phantom Lord goes hard as hell. Moving on from there, we have Sepultura with Nation. I do not recommend this one. I barely got anything out of this album. It's not very memorable. It's very basic, and the riffs are generic. It's fine, but it's not something I look forward to going back to whatsoever. Up next is Zeal and Ardor with Devil Is Fine. First time listen to me, as well as Nation. It's a good starting off point for a very interesting project for sure. Really dig these guys. It's mostly just one guy that behind the writing and the singing and all that, but just worth checking out for sure. It's basically black metal mixed with like slave spiritual chants. Imagine if slaves of the past adopted Satanism and go from there. It's a very interesting project for sure. I've seen them twice now, and they're great. Next up is Opeth with Pale Communion. It's an okay album when it comes to Opeth. It's not one that I go back to often. It used to be my least favorite because I did find it kind of boring. There are still tracks that I don't really care for, but Cusp of Eternity goes hard, and I really dig Voice of Treason as well. It's Opeth. I love Opeth. Up next, the madman himself, Lil Texas. First time listen for me. His album Faster. If you like hardcore at 200 beats per minute, as it says right here, just this album goes super, super hard. I absolutely love the play on the Rob Zombie remix album, American Made Music to Strip By, which this album cover blatantly pays homage to. It's great. Lil Texas is great. If he's coming through in your area, go see him. Up next is ISIS with Signal 5. This is a short little EP that follows up Celestial. It's neat. It's okay. I mean, it's like a few extra tracks. It's not bad. I listened to this more than once back in August. But ISIS is a good band regardless, so it counts for something. Up next is Deftones with the Saturday Night Wrist, Bob Ezrin produced demos and outtakes. Really, really interesting little collection here. I strongly recommend this one. There are certain demos on this that I go back to very often. They're available on YouTube. If you're a Deftones fan, like, do not skip out on this one. 15, 9, 12, and 5 are ones I go back to very often. They're great. And you also get to hear like really rough versions of tracks that ended up making it on Saturday Night Wrist, which is a very underrated Deftones release. After that, we got Whitechapel with Mark of the Blade. Every time I revisit this one, it's just not good. I do not recommend this one. Least favorite Whitechapel album. The production is not very good. It doesn't sound good. The songs are not memorable. The only songs I really care for are Elitist Ones and Bring Me Home. Other than that, it's just very, very, very mediocre. After that, we have Devil Wears Prada with Z2. Not nearly as good as the first one, but seeing this EP perform live did make me appreciate it a whole lot more. If you dug the first EP, you might dig this one. If you dug what they've been doing lately with their music, such as like The Act or even their newest album, Color Decay, you probably like this one even more so. After that, we got Mac Miller with his mixtape I Love Life, Thank You. Finally, this thing made it onto Spotify, and I'm very, very happy about that. It's a neat little mixtape that sits between Best Day Ever and his first studio album, Blue Slide Park. And it's a really neat mixtape. There are a lot of songs on here I really dig. There are great beats on this thing as well. Really just cute little mixtape, and it's definitely got some bangers for sure. After that, we have Job for a Cowboy with Genesis. My goodness gracious, these guys are so underrated. I can't wait to hear new music from them. This is their first full-length studio release, and it's really it's good. It kicks ass. Like the riffs, the songs, the vocals. It's great. Not the best Job for a Cowboy release, but still really quality. And next up, we have ISON with Cosmic Drone. This is their first EP / album. It's kind of regarded as a demo. Regardless, it's quality material for sure. I absolutely love it. Strongly recommend, just like the rest of the releases. It's probably their weakest, but it's still worth checking out. This, along with the other ones, I listened to more than once. I think for the first time too, back in August. It's wonderful. Just like the rest of them, check it out. Next up, we have UKF Drum and Bass 2014. I do not recommend this one. There's still quality tracks on it. A lot of them that I did add to my playlist, but it's still hit and miss, just like 2013. It's just, a collection of tracks mostly. It was fine, but nothing I'd go back to. Then we have Wheel with Moving Backwards. Holy shit. This is a very, very, very interesting release. My God, like, they're basically like, if you combine like Tool and Carnival, then you have Wheel. I strongly recommend this album. I very, very much enjoyed it. Like the first two tracks alone, Vultures into Wheel, what I wouldn't give to see those tracks played live. And they were in town, but like freaking, they were playing out in the Bay Area while Aftershock was going on, and so I missed out on them, unfortunately. But fantastic album. Definitely check it out. Speaking of fantastic albums, my favorite Whitechapel release. How did they go and release Mark of the Blade and then put out a masterpiece like this? This album I just love more and more and more each time I listen to it. It's great. It's a great blend of everything that makes them what they are. Plus more like experimentation with softer sounds, more like rock radio sounds, I guess you could say, clean vocals, but it's done in such a powerful, genuine, authentic way. I can't say enough good things about this album. Strongly recommend. Next up is In Flames with Soundtrack to Your Escape. This was kind of a disappointment after Reroute to Remain. The production was a little muddy. The riffs were really simplified. It's not a bad album by any means, but it's like it felt like I was listening to a Korn album in a sense. Yeah, moving on. Opeth with Sorceress. There are a lot of things I like about this album. It's still very much scattershot, in my opinion. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But it's not bad. There's a lot of fun tracks. I love A Fleeting Glance and Era, and obviously the title track, Strange Brew. Yeah, it's Opeth. Next up is In Flames with Come Clarity. God damn, talk about a fantastic album. I strongly recommend this one. Like, listening to this album on the way to see Ms. Moore, which we're about to get to, just every single track is banger after banger. Moving on from there, speaking of Ms. Moore, this is their album Cairn. Me and my buddy that James that I spoke of earlier, we went and saw these guys, and they played this entire album front to back, and goodness gracious, I don't even. This album moves mountains, and it's also gorgeous at the same time. It's black metal, but it's also really abrasive and just loud and just kicks ass. Very, very interesting stuff here. After that is the Gorillaz EP. Meanwhile, nothing too special. It's just a few tracks that are decent. They're not bad by any means, but it's nothing too special. After that, we have Unearth with The March. I've been meaning to continue these guys' discography for years. They're really solid quality not deathcore, metalcore. It kicks ass. The riffs are great. Not my favorite release by them so far, but it's a great album for sure. I believe it was a first-time listen for me as well. Same with each of these In Flames albums. Up next, we have Bring Me the Horizon with This Is What the Edge of Your Seat Was Made For. Really brutal and abrasive deathcore-ish EP. Really a trailblazer of sorts. I mean, this whole band's like, every release is a trailblazing album to an extent. Yeah, really brutal shit. Not for everybody. I mean, it's not the best, but like, if you want just like chaotic, brutal shit, like that's really, really hardcore, then yeah, check it out. After that, we have the Acacia Strain with Wormwood. God damn, what a fantastic fucking album. I think this is the first time I actually listened to this thing like all the way through, and holy crap, like it's just, god damn it, dude, it's so good. It's so good. Next up, we have CROWBAR with Time Heals Nothing. Really great riff work. It's CROWBAR. Like you're gonna get some heavy, chunky riffs, and the production's not the best. It's not even the best CROWBAR release. But I'm digging going through their discography. This is a first time listen for me. Speaking of first, we have Baroness with First, and we have Baroness with Second. Their first two EPs, and they're really good. They don't really touch their later work, but Tower Falls off of First is a fantastic song. Yeah, like I said, doesn't really hold up to their later discography though. And here we have one of my all-time favorite albums, Ashes Divide with Keep Telling Myself It's Alright. Just an absolute masterpiece. I absolutely love Billy Howardell. I can throw this album on anytime and just absolutely love every second of it. Every single song is great. It just speaks to me on a way that not even really a perfect circle speaks to me, I guess you can say. Forever Can Be, Ritual, Stripped Away, Sword, just endlessly great fucking songs here. Strongly recommend this one. After that, we have Mudvayne with LD50. Goddamn, this is such a goddamn good album, dude. Fucking Prod, Death Blooms, -1 or -1. I'm not sure, like, how you, whatever. Burr Dang, for crying out loud. Nothing to Gain. Just fantastic record. Like, if you haven't heard this yet, what are you doing? After that, we have Rush with 2112. Strongly recommend this one. Not only the title track, but the rest of the track list is really, really good too. They were throwing whatever against the wall. They didn't really care at the time of making this, but they ended up just making like a true prog rock gem. Just an epic album, front to back. Absolutely love it. After that, we have Morbid Angel with Domination. This is a first time listen for me. A lot more stripped back than their previous releases. Very, very heavy. Where the Slime Lives is a killer track, obviously. Looking forward to going through more of their albums after that, or after this. Then we have Death Grips with Ex-Military, the first mixtape of theirs. Strongly recommend this one. It just goes hard. Like, the songs are fantastic. They're absolute bangers. Check it out if you haven't. It's fantastic. Next up, we have Black Dahlia Murder with their first album, Unhallowed. It's a killer first record for sure. Like, I go back to several of these songs very often. Funeral Thirst and Elder Misanthropy. Closed Casket Requiem. Hello. Just a great first step into the world for these guys. And it hurt, man. Miss Trevor a whole lot. Next up, we have Filter with Short Bus. And a lot of people aren't really going to agree with this, but I didn't really get much from this album. The first few songs are decent, especially Hey Man, Nice Shot. I dig the first few tracks. It's not a bad album, but I do not recommend listening to it. Sorry. You might find something in it that I don't, but yeah. Moving on from there, we have Spite with The Root of All Evil. I don't recommend this one either. I didn't get much from this one, and I do like Spite, but this one kind of felt like a misstep. There wasn't really much that I was tapping into listening through it. This was a first time listening to me, as well as Short Bus. Yeah, I'm way behind the times, sue me. But yeah, moving on from there, Typo Negative was Slow, Deep, and Hard. First album from theirs, I really dug it, like revisiting it. Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity remains one of my favorite Typo songs. I might be getting the title of that song wrong, but yeah, it's a good listen for sure. I dig it. So Spotify does this weird thing where, like, it'll list like the first 4 singles of an album as an EP. So this wasn't actually Opus Contra Naturum. This was the first 4 singles, like listed in order. So it wasn't actually the album. That'll be for next month. After that, I guess, is Primitive Man with Insurmountable. Jesus Christ, like, these guys are really something. Just talk about, like, doom and just darkness and heavy, just indescribably heavy, is the best way to put it. Up next, we have Mac Miller's Blue Slide Park. I'm listening through the whole discography. Like, I intend to review it, all of it. It's a decent album. It's more of like a passion project, I guess you could say. It's his first studio album, not mixtape, and his only one to hit number 1 on the U.S. Billboard. And it's okay. It's real hit and miss. Like, it's consistently decent. A couple good tracks in there, a couple tracks. But yeah, it's still it was something that he really just needed to put out there, like, nostalgia for him and whatnot. Up next is Nails with Abandon All Life. Holy shit, fuck! This is probably like their most grindcore album. The production is a step up from Unsilent Death in that it's so just brutally blunt force and just unrelenting. I strongly recommend this one. It's just God shit, dude. It's so good. After that, we have Upon a Burning Body with Fury. I actually really dug this album. This was the first time listening for me. I was about to go see them and Volvodynia and Signs of the Swarm this month, obviously. And yeah, it was a really, I actually really enjoyed listening to the album. Ended up not staying for them, unfortunately, because like I ended up breaking my phone, but oh well. After that, we got Volvodynia with Prenuntius Infinity. And a really great slam for sure. I dug this one, and it was great seeing them live. Brutal shit for sure. So after that is Spite with Dedication to Flesh. Big improvement from The Root of All Evil, in my opinion. I dug this one a lot. It definitely goes quite hard. After that, we have Signs of the Swarm at Absolvir. It, it's not a bad album, but every time they tried doing something like, it's not my first time listening to the album, but every time they try to do something interesting, they do it like an interesting section in a song, they pivot, they change, and like it's fine, but like there's nothing in the album itself that really just captivates me and just grips me and just like makes me like, yeah, okay, this kicks fucking ass. Like, there are great moments for sure, but it's not consistent. Like, it's constantly changing up. And it's not like it's a bad album, but it doesn't touch their first couple albums for sure, which really sucks because they don't even touch that material anymore. After that, we have In Flames with A Sense of Purpose. Goodness gracious, I really love this album. It's really good. I really enjoyed listening to it. It's my buddy's favorite In Flames album, and I mean for good reason. There's a lot of great stuff here for sure. I remember the first time I heard Disconnected years back, and it's still just a fantastic song. After that, we have Black Curse with Endless Wound. This is a very harrowing black metal project with just terrifying like vocals here and there. The way the reverb and echo is produced into this album is quite interesting. It's not the best black metal release I've heard, but it's really interesting. I came across it by accident. I think it played like on Spotify Radio or something, but worth checking out if you're a black metal fanatic. After that, we have Baroness with Green and Yellow. Fantastic release, like a joint release. I don't like Green nearly as much as I like Yellow. I strongly recommend Yellow, but it's still just a wonderful regardless. Green is very much on the subdued side, and Yellow is very much on like kind of the radio rock side. I guess you could say. Fantastic tracks. Like I go back to Cocainium a lot, as well as March to the Sea. Iula is a beautiful masterpiece, and also other great tracks like Board Up the House and Little Things, Take My Bones Away, Stretch Marker. Love it, absolutely love it. It's Baroness. Then we have Carbomb with, I guess you pronounce this album W Click W. Fans just call it the Waveform album. It's absolutely wild. It just, holy crap, the whole thing goes so damn hard. I go back to Finish It very often. There are other great tracks like Third Revelation and Lower the Blade. I think Garucha is another one, auto named. Just great. Just really just abrasive and killer mathcore. My God. Then we have Opeth with Encauda Venenum, the extended edition. Easily the best album they've put out since Watershed. I've listened to this album so much this year. It's wonderful. Absolutely love tracks like Next of Kin, Continuum. Go back to those ones very often. The Garroter is fantastic. Obviously, Dignity, Heart and Hand. Just, I absolutely love this album. Absolutely love this album too. Strongly recommend both of these, by the way. Devin Townsend Project Transcendence. Favorite Devin Townsend album. Not by much, but it's fantastic. Secret Sciences, Stormbending, Truth, obviously Failure. The title track, my God, I love going back to this album. It's a masterpiece. Then after that, we have Dying Wish with Fragments of a Bitter Memory. I've seen these guys twice now, and damn, they go hard. Riffs are a little generic when it comes to like metalcore, but goodness gracious, they really just bring some ferocity and like breathe some life back into this particular metalcore style. It's pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Next up, we have My Chemical Romance. I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love. First time listening to this, not nearly as good as their other releases, but it's really interesting to see like the place of where they started. Not bad by any means, but not a go-to. Then we have Nine Inch Nails with Hesitation Marks. A little overlooked, in my opinion. I think this album has a lot going for it. There are definitely some tracks that I do not care for whatsoever, but I absolutely love re-listening to All Time Low, Find My Way, I Would For You, Various Methods of Escape. It's a really low-key album for them, but yeah, definitely underrated in my opinion. And then we have Pussifer with Donkey Punch the Night, an EP they put out in between Conditions of My Parole and Money Shot. And it was really nice revisiting this one. A fair cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, but tracks like Breathe are sexy as fuck. And I the drum solo, I think it's the drums, either the Denton, I forget what it is, but the rework of Dear Brother and both versions of Balls to the Wall, like really good. Especially the Silent Servant El Guapo mix of Balls to the Wall. I don't know what it is about that track, but it just puts me on another plane. I can't even describe it. I go back to it very often. It's so damn sexy. Yeah, Donkey Punch the Night. Great, great title. And then this was my first time listening to Of Kingdom and Crown. Like this was like the night it came out too. This has really become like a favorite Machine Head album for me. Just really, really great work. It's not their best, in my opinion, but it's definitely up there. It's a very, very huge improvement from Catharsis. I love. Okay, so like, My Hands Are Empty and Arrows and Words to the Sky from the Sky are easily top 10, 15 Machine Head tracks for me. And Slaughter the Martyr and Unhallowed are like top 20, top 25. Just goddamn, Slaughter the Martyr goes so hard when that riff like finally kicks in. It's just so gratifying, and from front to back, like concept albums, like lengthy tracks, really showcase that's Machine Head's wheelhouse. It sucks. I really do miss Dave McClain, and I do miss Phil Demmel, but goddamn, Varg really fills those shoes really, really good. Yeah, just great album. I strongly recommend it. After that, we have Chevelle with The North Quarter. Very solid album. It was my first time actually listening to it. Love Door Door Cannibals and Joyride Omen. Lots of great tracks. It's just solid front to back. I can't say if it's my favorite yet or not, but it's definitely up there. Very solid release. I very much enjoyed it. And then we have one of the greatest albums of all time, Tool with 10,000 Days. Just an absolute masterpiece by every sense of the word, front to back. Every song is fucking absolutely phenomenal. I love going back to Jambi. Just every time it comes on, it speaks to me on a very deep level. Every single song here, I can go on and on and on and on about this, but we'll wait until I actually review it. Intention is one of my favorite songs in the world. Just throwing it out there. Moving on, Straight from the Path, their first album, Villains. Rough around the edges, not too bad for first album of theirs. I do remember enjoying it. but kind of wanting a little bit more. Very much looking forward to going through the rest of their discography. But it's yeah, first time listen. But yeah, moving on. Tool, Fear Inoculum. I had to re-listen to this again, as well. Absolutely love it. It's great. It really is a bit of a chore to listen to front to back because it's hard to listen to a bunch of 10-minute songs in one sitting. That's why individually these tracks are a lot to they're very much gratifying. Numa is my favorite song of all time. It's great. Culling Voices is just astounding. Just a beautiful work of art and achievement for them. I can go on and on about this album as well. Last album for the month is Kublai Khan's Youth War, first album from them. Looking forward to going through more of their albums because they just go super, super hard. And this was definitely no exception. So yeah, finally, that's August for you. Thanks for sticking around. I do like long form content, so if that's not your thing, I'm sorry. The playback speed button, you can increase that if you want for future videos. But I just like to give a little bit of my takes on them as I go through, and yeah, hopefully I hone this as time goes on. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. Leave a comment what you think about any of these albums. Leave a like if you like. If not, it just doesn't matter as long as you enjoy.